Welcome to Daddy vs. Doctor. Here are your hosts, pediatrician Dr. Scott Cohen and comedian Sebastian Maniscalco.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Daddy vs. Doctor. For those of you that are new to the show, what we do is we get together once a week. We talk out different topics that have to do with pediatrics, behavior, child rearing, what have you. We play games like like this. What is this? Joke box.
What is it? We don't know.
Heather Dockweiler, my sister-in-law, is on I Blame Sebastian. I know she's always chiming in, and she's just like that's Heather. That's Heather. You know Heather.
Heather,
Lana's sister.
Oh, hey, Heather.
Heather Dockweiler.
Wait, Heather. I thought you wanted to ask a question about...
She's not in the other room. Why are you screaming?
Heather wanted to ask a question about swallowing pills. Heather, why don't you write your question about swallowing pills?
So, yeah, we were talking about swallowing
Am
pills.
I yelling? Heather?
We were talking about swallowing pills. I had no idea.
This was a thing. Heather brought this up to me.
Yeah. So, kids have problems swallowing pills.
Yeah, a lot of adults. Your mother has problems swallowing pills.
I've just found that out last month. I go, Ma, 77 years old, and she still can't knock down a couple pills.
Did you have problems swallowing pills?
Not at all. You know what? I've taken down so many supplements at once.
Yeah,
I took down like eight supplements. Right.
I mean, now you're just bragging.
Listen, and then I burped up supplement like powder came out of my mouth. This happened at a restaurant, by the way.
Why are you taking supplements at a restaurant? Are you one of those guys that take out the boxes and pull the tabs Tuesday?
No.
Chop it down?
I had them in my pocket. I just throw them down like some almonds, just right down the throat. God, belched up like sawdust came out. Anyway,
you got any techniques for kids? Because like my daughter, that girl, she loves oysters. She'll down oysters like no. You give her something the size of those little Advils. I can't do it, Dad. I can't do it. It's unbelievable.
So is there a method? Is there something?
Yeah. Does anybody got any good? Heather, anybody have any good ways to get kids to swallow? I tell her just like you put it in your mouth and you take a big swig and you just swallow and pretend it's not there. But it's mental. And in her mind, she just thinks about it and she just can't do it. She spits it out every time.
Yeah, so I never heard of it. No one has any problem swallowing pills here.
Heather, how do you teach a child to take pills? What's our audience say? Does anybody have any good ways of doing it?
Let me take some questions here. Hey, Sebastian, my mom and sisters have celiac disease. What would you do if you had that?
Do you know what celiac disease? Why they're asking that?
Is that
because you can't eat gluten?
Yeah.
So I assume that's a knock on being Italian and probably eating a lot of bread and pasta.
Yeah. Well, I thought I had this, and I went and get tested. And there's an allergy question here as well. Doctor, at what age should you get allergy tests? Can you develop allergies as you age?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. You can develop allergies at any age. Typically, when you're younger, allergies show up more as GI symptoms. So when you hear about babies being allergic to formula because of the milk protein in formula, they usually outgrow that. And then as we introduce foods, food allergies can show up as, sometimes they can get hives. Sometimes they have GI manifestations of that. So you can get a child tested for allergies at any time. We'll do it sometimes around 6 months of age if we think they have a severe allergy to something or a strong family history of, let's say, anaphylaxis to peanut butter or something like that. We may want to get them tested before we introduce it. And then things like Zyrtec, are approved down to 6 months of age for allergies, for environmental allergies. But if it's not bothering the child, we usually do nothing until they're older.
Yeah. So I went in for the celiac test. I had a high sensitivity to, gluten products. I still eat them. I'll just deal with whatever comes with it. I mean, I'm not going to give up pasta and bread because
you can get gluten free.
I got a rash on my ass. I'm eating it.
They make a lot of gluten free stuff nowadays.
Yeah, but it tastes like
You're like
it sucks. I mean, listen. I love these people that say, "Oh, the gluten free, it's not that bad." Anything gluten free, I could tell it's gluten free. And if I'm gonna have a pizza or a pasta or a bread, it's gluten. It's gluten all day. I'm in Arizona. Is it true if allergic to bees, also allergic to scorpions? Is it true if?
I don't know. I don't know that that's the case. Have you ever gotten a scorpion bite? We have scorpions here. The Arizona scorpions are really bad. They're big. The scorpions here are tiny, and they're no worse than like a bee sting. And I only know that because we used to live in the Hollywood Hills, and we used to get them in our foyer, like these little scorpions. And my daughter put her foot in her boot one day, and we just heard her scream, and we knew it. So I called poison control, and they said, no, you treat it like a bee sting.
Oh, really? Because we had one in our house, and I was shocked. Yeah. Actually, I was like, this is.
They're scary looking.
No, it's frightening. I mean, because it's frightening because the tail. Yeah. Comes like this, and I feel like that thing's ready to strike at any time. Just
knowing it's not worse than a bee sting, I like to put a couple in your bed, just see what you do.
Bees I cannot stand. Yeah. Hornets, anything that stings. Because I was cutting lawn at 9 years old, and I ran over a hornet's nest in the ground. Right, so I ran over this thing,
after you,
and it was like an army of hornets came at us, and I was wearing a mask because I was allergic to grass. I still had to cut grass.
Wait, you were cutting grass and you're allergic to grass?
I was allergic to grass, ragweed, and dust growing up.
Oh my God, that must have been miserable.
Yeah. And in order to earn my keep at the house, I start a lawn service at 9.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, I don't care if you're allergic, get out there. Here's the mask. So I was cutting lawn with a mask on.
What kind of mask?
It was like a medical mask. So the dust wouldn't get in. You know,
oh my god!
Similar to what they're doing now.
Date much, did you? Mowing lawn with allergies and a mask.
Bro, I had a job at 9. Of course, I was dating. I was fucking loaded. I had a knot when I went to school. I had a knot. I pulled out at lunchtime. Have you ever been on the hunt for a new doctor and you literally ask everyone you know for their recommendation? You know, a doctor who actually gets you, listens to you, and makes you feel comfortable. And finally, after weeks of searching, you find the one. So you call their office and they have an appointment available, but then the receptionist tells you this perfect doctor doesn't take your insurance. Wipe your tears and put the ice cream away and head over to ZocDoc to find and book the doctor who's right for you and takes your insurance. ZocDoc is a free app where you can find amazing doctors and book appointments online. We're talking about booking appointments with thousands of top-rated, patient-reviewed doctors and specialists. You can filter specifically for the ones who take your insurance and are located near you and treat almost any condition you're searching for. These docs all have verified reviews from actual real patients, not bots. The average wait time to see a doctor book on ZocDoc is between 24 and 48 hours. That's it. You even score same-day appointments. Once you find the doc you want, you could book them immediately with just a few app taps. No more waiting awkwardly on hold with a receptionist. Listen, if I ever needed a doctor right away, this is what I would be using. Go to ZocDoc.com/daddy and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/daddy. ZocDoc.com/daddy. Did I bring a cheese plate to gymnastics? What Daniel is referring to is what I often do is I bring a little snack for the parents.
Do you really?
At soccer.
Hey, you really brought it for the parents? A snack?
Yeah. So what I've done is I brought a cheese plate to soccer practice.
Okay.
With wine, boxed wine.
Wow.
Right. To the field.
Man,
with plastic.
People are gonna like you.
Cups. I mean,
no, because there is one mom on the soccer team who always brings Saturday morning. She'll bring like margaritas or something. Everybody loves her.
I'm not looking to get loved. What I'm looking to do is we're all in this together. We had to fight traffic, and you get there, right? And how nice is it to have a little brie with some Sauvignon Blanc at 4:30 on a Tuesday? So yeah,
speaking of Daddy's snack, So what are these?
These are crunchy roasted edamame beans.
Do you like edamame?
I do. But like, anything, and again, I'm not.
Wow, a little spicy. It's got some sriracha. Woo. No, those are good, but they're spicy. I think this should be a lot of kids wouldn't be a little spicy for the kids.
Yeah, it's an adult snack.
Adult snack.
You can't throw spice on these snacks and give it to a 5-year-old. Right?
No.
Very few 5-year-olds are into any type of flavoring, spiciness, what have you.
Very salty.
And these are dry. What's wrong with going to get some edamame from your local grocery store?
Yeah, like real edamame.
Popping the beans in a bowl, lightly salt,
Yep.
and you have it as a little snack. This is the problem I got with snacks. Heather's chiming in again. Dr. Scott, what's the deal with too much edamame soybeans?
Not concerned. People are worried about too much soy causing early puberty, breast development, things like that. Soy you eat, you're digesting. It's different than estrogen in your body. So having soy in your diet, people drink soy milk. Babies are on soy formulas. Some people are vegetarian or vegan, do soy as a major source of their protein. I'm absolutely fine with it.
So there is a rumor out there that soy is.
People are worried that if you have too much soy,
Yeah.
it can cause hormonal issues.
Okay.
I'm not worried about that.
Dr. Cohen is not worried about soy, and he's right. I have a question. Yeah, this is a question to the group, and I'm dealing with this in my own home. Snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's a snack. The meals are, but my wife went to go pick up the kids. As soon as they get in the car, a snack. I want a snack. Yet they had 2 snacks at the school already. I'm from the school. We ain't having a snack. You're saving it for dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get home. They get dinner. They don't like the dinner. So where does this end?
I agree. When did it start?
What?
When did we go from like everywhere we went, we brought food? You go on an airplane, we would have one carry-on bag of just food. I'm like, honey, we're in the airport. There's stores we can buy stuff. There's stuff on the plane. Well, just in case. What if? She was usually right. What if we're stuck? What if we're delayed? What if the kids don't like what it's there? We got to have our own. But I agree. I think we need to focus on the main meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We need to focus on being active in between, which limits a lot of the snacking because then you don't have time to do that. Yeah. And I'm not saying no snacks, but you're right. Kids learn very early on. I'm going to skip lunch. An hour later, I'm going to go to the pantry and get goldfish or crackers. Mm-hmm. And his parents were like, well, they didn't eat. At least they're eating something. And they know. And we saw a lot of this with increased weight gain during COVID because we were much more sedentary. We weren't out and, doing the activities we normally do, socializing, being in school. And I know personally, you're sitting around the house. Every time you're hungry, you just walk to the pantry and get it. But now I'm at work all day. I don't have the chance to do that. And this is what happened with kids since then, being in school, being active. It makes a difference and it's healthier for the kids too.
Talk about biggest pet peeve. When it comes to kids, biggest pet peeve?
What's your biggest pet peeve? Or is it their parents?
Yeah, I think it's with the parents. Some say, "Oh, he's just a kid."
Yeah,
you can't be mad at the kid. You gotta be mad at the parent. I don't necessarily agree with that. I look at some kids and go, "Wow, you're a problem." I don't know if you see that a lot. I don't know how you do what you do because you're seeing kids all day long, and you'll never say this to me. I know you won't, but I'm going to say it for you. There's got to be kids that come into your office. You're like, oh God, this kid, I got to deal with this kid. This kid, no hi, no nothing. Give me this, give me that. Right? There's these kids out there, and if you got one, keep them inside because we don't want to see them. It's ridiculous what these parents are doing with these kids. These parents, I've noticed, are kowtowing to every demand. Parenting people is a 24/7 job, 7 days a week. You can't let up, right? You got to be consistently on them, right? Yeah. And if you're not, they start to stray
Right.
And next thing you know, you're calling the police at midnight going, where's my kid?
Here's my new, it's a transient pet peeve. And I love hearing kids talk. I want to hear everything they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, a couple times during sick visits, kids come in specifically for fever, cough, cold, vomiting. And the child will be like 2.5 or 3. And I'll walk in and say, what's going on? And the parent will turn to the child and say, Johnny, why don't you tell the doctor? The kid's like 2.5.
Oh, yeah. I love this.
The history from the 2.5-year-old is not going to be the history that I want. And I love your child and I'm happy to hear. But the point of this visit is to get you in and out as quick as possible and like heal things and fix things. I want the parent is the one should give the history at that age.
Yeah, I'm not.
Does that sound horrible to say?
No,
I feel bad saying it, but it comes up.
It's the same thing when we're at a restaurant and they're gonna order the food and they turn to the kid and go, "What do you want to eat?" And the kid could barely say. He's got 4 words.
Exactly.
Right. And then we got to sit there and then I've done that as a waiter. I've waited on tables where there's a family and then they go to the 2-year-old and what do you want? He went, and then I got to go, what? What do you want? And tell him again. I'm like, oh God, I'm buried. I got 9 tables. I'm in the weeds because the 2-year-old is he can't speak. Judith Rubio. At what age should you teach your kids about restaurant etiquette? Here, tipping, use proper utensils. Love the podcast. Greetings from Canada. Great question, Judith. And I got to tell you, I told Lana, she's like, let's take the kids out to dinner. I said, well, my kids are not restaurant ready on a lot of restaurants, right?
Right.
There's certain restaurants where we could go, they could sit, maybe.
And your kids are very well behaved.
Well, thanks. But, sometimes at the restaurant it gets a little hairy because, Caruso bouncing off the walls. He doesn't, like he's done coloring and now he wants to sit on a lap or he wants to go over there. It's just a lot of like moving parts.
I got it.
But my kids know about tipping.
Do they?
Yeah. What I've done with them is first, and I'm not bragging here. I'm just telling you what I'm doing.
No, it's excellent.
Go to the grocery store, right?
I'm taking notes.
We go to the grocery store. We just went to the grocery store over the weekend. I've taught my kids to pay for the groceries. Okay. Not out of their own money, but I give them the money. Mm-hmm. And I said, we got to wait for the total, right? And this is a great way to teach math, right? Bill was whatever, $98. I said, here's $100. You give them $100, and then how much do we expect back? Right. And I try, and $100 and 98 is a little hard to do for a 4-year-old, but like I'm just going through the motions. Well, my son's caught on, and he goes, when we get the change back, you take the coins. I'll take the paper.
Smart, right?
Jesus Christ.
You may be the only one going to the grocery store and paying with cash.
Well,
I think it's the issue.
To whip out a knot at the grocery store
with the celery band.
I went to the grocery store today. I paid in cash, right? And the bill was what was it? $140. I paid $200, and she goes.
She asked Caruso, how much change did I give you?
Well, change now. People get like, you give cash to people now, it's like kryptonite, right? They don't even know what to do with it.
And coins, forget about it.
Forget it.
Coins, no matter, you might as well just throw them in the trash. Nobody has coins in their pocket.
I was talking about coins. I was taught, my dad said, keep some loose change, right? keep some loose change. Just to, you could make exact money just in case they don't have the money, right? Yeah. There's like, and I got some change in my pocket every once in a while. But the woman's like, man, you got anything smaller? What the fuck? Did they give you a bank in the beginning? She's like, I'm going to have to give you all 10s. I'm like, all right, whatever. Give me all 10s. But anyway, teaching your kids to pay, tip, what have you. Teaching them that nothing is free in life. Yeah. There's an exchange happening for us to get the food. You have to, and then what I do is I get on one knee. I get on one knee in the parking lot before we get in the car, and I go, when Daddy gets on a plane and leaves for 4 days, and he says he's gonna miss you and what have you, I'm going away so we could eat, right? So they put the two together. I don't know if it's working. We'll see.
It's very impressive.
It's a lesson.
It's also secondhand. It becomes secondhand nature.
Secondhand
doing
nature.
it, and the math is really good. Yeah, I was doing when my daughter was a little older. I wanted to calculate the tip. At restaurants and things like that. Like, how do we do that?
Yeah,
what you get.
I think that's great. I think that's great. Anytime you could do it, I think that's great. Our identical twin boys just turned 1. I'm just wondering if you have any ideas for some ethical tests I could start doing on my boys for science. LOL. Ethical, of course. What does that mean?
I don't know. What kind of ethical tests do you want to do on your child?
I don't even know what that is.
What are we testing?
Well, do you know what that is?
No, I mean, she's just testing one versus the other. Who would steal the cookie from the cookie jar? Those type of tests. Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't know those existed. What do you recommend for kids with restless leg syndrome?
I don't know that I've ever seen somebody truly with restless leg syndrome.
Well, what is that? Is that just where the legs just tap?
Where you move, you see commercials for it. It's where you move around, your legs constantly moving at night. I mean, there is a true condition. I don't think it's very common. I've never seen it in a child. You have to fit certain criteria. You would see a neurologist for it and discuss it, but I don't have any experience with it.
So 20 years of practice, Dr. Cohen hasn't seen it. So you know what that means? Don't exist.
No, it exists.
Sebastian, have you ever done a show for firefighters, police, and EMs?
EMS.
EMS. Seems like no one does shows for public safety, only military. I have done a police show in Chicago. This was about maybe 7-8 years ago. I did a show for the police, and I don't know if I've done for firefighters, but it's not something that I'm opposed to doing. Yeah. I mean, I love police, firefighter, pro military as well. My father was in the Army for 2 years.
Yeah.
Was a sharpshooter.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had said, I was a sharpshooter in the Army. I go, well, you didn't go to war, and he goes, yeah, I know, but like in the practice, apparently he got sharpshooter status. Never picked anybody off, just a couple of cans. Talking about problems with memory, I'm like you, Sebastian, and maybe Dr. Cohen could give us advice to improve cognition and memory. Now, I want to ask you, I know you're a pediatrician, but this kind of goes into another realm of it all. I feel as I grow older, it's harder to recall stuff. For example, and I don't know if you guys are dealing with this as well, those of you who are 40, 50, 60. Someone goes, okay, just call this phone number, 847-681-4242, whatever. And I go, whoa, slow down. Let me take this in threes, right? When I was 21, I used to phone number. No, I used to memorize the phone number, right? Right. Now it's like, if people are, I say, could you spell that? I have trouble following them as they spell out whatever it is they're spelling out over the phone. Am I coming down with a severe disease?
Early Alzheimer's.
Or is this 49? No. This is the problem 49. I'm having, people. How I'm feeling right now.
Right.
Is it 49?
Yeah.
Or is it a problem?
No, I don't think it's a problem. I think you're 49. I think you're doing like and you're probably doing better than most.
I get out of bed. I feel like I wake my wife up with the sounds that are coming out of my knees. You know what I'm saying? Like
your bicep, everything's falling on you. But I think with our memory, I find myself playing more games with it. Like I'm really for the medical knowledge that I have and that I can retain, I can't remember people's names.
Yeah.
So then I find like when somebody introduces themselves, well, usually I have my wife like remind, like, oh, who's that? But then also I find myself playing like, that's Jim. All right, Jim was a guy I went to high school with. Like I have to make a whole thing in my story. The story's longer than if I just remember Jim, but that's how I remember it.
Yeah, I ain't doing any of that.
You're just like, forget it.
Any advice on child still wetting the bed at 7 years old? John Jay.
There
Actually, I went to John Jay Elementary School back in Mount Prospect, Illinois. Serafina's still wetting the bed.
Yep.
At 6. Yep. Could you please explain to our listening audience?
John Jay.
Not why you've been telling me not to be concerned.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So in general, nighttime wetting in a child that's potty trained during the day, we do not worry about. If you're trained during the day, the nighttime is a brain bladder connection. So it's really hard to train somebody at nighttime. Before 6 years of age, we make no interventions because it's actually considered normal. You could limit fluid. You could have them pee before bed. You could wake them up. You could do all these things. And under the age of 6, if they're still wetting, they're probably still going to wet. So there's no reason to try things that aren't really going to help you. After 6, you can try those things. We talk about behavioral modification. The easiest ones are going to the bathroom before bed and limiting fluid after dinner. And you could try to wake them up in the middle of the night. Honestly, they're not better than a 50-50 shot. So you can try them if you want, and it may get you there faster. In general, 100% of the time, a child who's dry during the day will eventually become dry at night. It's just when everything connects. It's also, John Jay, a very big genetic component. So you can blame either yourself or your significant other, whoever was a longtime bedwetter. It usually came from that side. But in all seriousness, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of timing.
Okay.
Yeah. And there is, like, when kids get older, we talked about, like, kids go to sleepaway camp, kids go to sleepovers, and they become self-conscious. There is medication they can take, but that medication is literally just a Band-Aid for that night. And as soon as you stop it, if you're going to wet, you're still going to wet. So we find other ways to do it. And if they need the medicine, we can do that as well.
All right. Sebastian, Doc, my son at the age of 5 is still in bed from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Is it fair to expect a 5-year-old to be in bed for 11? I see no problem.
I mean,
with
you're
that.
so lucky.
God,
I'd never be upset about too much sleep.
Unbelievable.
10 plus hours would be fabulous.
Yeah, I had no concern there.
No, that's great.
Hey guys, this is from Giancarlo Olvera. We have one 18-month-old and are thinking about being one and done. I'm 41. She's 36. Any benefit for our daughter to have siblings, or is she okay with friends, cousins? Can I chime in here?
Yeah, please.
Listen, bro. Get another one. All right? Just get another one. I have seen an amazing bond between Serafina and Caruso. They're so close in age, right? They're 2 years apart. My sister and I were 5 years apart, and we're close, but I didn't have that growing up. And what I find is with a lot of single, and you can speak to this, single, if you have a single kid in the house, right? That kid tends to be alone, no one to play with, no one to get up in the morning with, have breakfast with. It's just, I think you're doing a disservice to your kid if you don't have a sibling for them to love and share. That's just my opinion, Giancarlo. Whip it out tonight and get that going. What do we have here? This is
right up your alley.
Box of Jokes. Fun time fun. Fun time fun.
Fun time fun.
8 classic fun time jokes. All right. So this is like, and here's a question for you, and I don't even know if you know the answer. A lot of the jokes at this age that my kids are at,
right,
3, 4, 5, 6, are all about farting, pooping.
Fart, poop, those are funny words. And most adults would laugh at it too. When did you know you were funny?
I knew I was funny when, at a young age. I just always like making my family laugh. Not necessarily other people outside the family, but my family. So I knew at a young age that I had an ability to make people laugh. But not until, I'd say, I don't know. Well, what are you doing? Oh, is that supposed to go on the bottom? Take it out.
It's just go on the top? I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I think it's a top thing. The game don't even work. So this is Whoopie Toot. Cheap.
This is
fuck this. I can't get this thing going. What's that?
I don't know. It's spring loaded. I didn't know what it was going to do. If it was going to pop at you or like grab my finger.
Okay, so the problem with the
spring
games
loaded
already.
Finger.
The problem with the game's already nothing works.
Oh, here.
And you got to read the instructions. I don't read instructions. I open the box.
It's
dangerous.
No, it's dangerous. It's spring loaded. It's supposed to fly off your finger like that.
And take your eye
fly
out.
off your finger.
Yeah.
There it is. That's why. And look at it's like a bloody finger.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be like, oh, I got my finger caught in the door, and then that happens.
Oh, okay. Well, it almost took my eye out. This is for 6 and above.
Disgusting.
Fake vomit.
So, who would buy this for their child? The floaty eyeball?
You guys into this? Your parents at home?
Doggy
do.
Caruso would like that.
Bad doggy.
True.
Bad doggy. So yeah, these would, I think, resonate with my kids. I think, you know what? With all the toys these kids have nowadays, with all the what is that?
Yeah, it's just to like vibrate, but it doesn't have.
These are
vibrates.
These
are like medieval comedy devices.
Yeah, this is like vaudevillian. You know, the simple things, I think, are the best games.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
What was everybody's favorite toy growing up? Like, what did you play growing up? I mean, Candyland was a big one. Monopoly, Life. You remember the game of Life?
I played Battleship.
Really?
Remember that game where you had the boats?
I remember.
The pegs
in. You saw my I had Life. Life I liked because there's a part of it where you get married, and then you got to sort of say who your crush was. That's how we played Life.
But this is 6 and over. You're talking 10,
Monopoly. Did you ever play Monopoly?
Yeah.
The problem with Monopoly is it never ends.
Yeah.
Like there's no ending to it. Clue was a big game.
But Clue and Battleship, Twister. You didn't have that game.
You didn't play that with your family? I could see you and your parents playing.
Yeah, my Italian father buying a Twister game was fucking
my back.
Perverted. Even like card game. I was never a big game guy. Getting back to the games, board games. Lana's family, they love it. Holidays, let's whip out like that, and then they got to go around and like, do you know how to play? And then oh no, I don't. How do you play? And then you're fucking, I don't listen. You know, I just like, let's play it and I'll figure it out based on how everybody else is doing.
One free round and move on. That's it.
When do you start allowance, or do you only give your kids money for chores? This is coming from DT Daniel Thomas. Mm-hmm. So I started at a young age. Serafina was 3 years old, and I said, "Make your bed," and it's been consistent. She's 6 now. Every morning, bed made. They clean their dishes. They take their dishes from the table to the dish to the sink. Do they wash them every time? No, that's not been implemented as a chore. Mm-hmm. But the allowance for them is, here's $2 at the end of the week. And I said, you could do anything you want with the money. I recommend you spend one and you save one. Or good. Give one away to someone, or you save it. And then we go to the candy store if they want to spend their $1. And they see how much candy they could get for $1. And I tell them, you want more candy?
Yeah.
You got to work double as hard as you did last week.
So do you stick to it? Like if it's $1.50, they only have $1. You pitch in an extra 50 cents, or are you good with it?
No. So they weigh the candy.
Yeah.
It's $1.87. I said we got to take some away. We don't have enough money for that.
You're good.
So they're trying. I'm trying to instill in them.
Better parent than me. No, because you started early, and I think that's really important. Starting early with age-appropriate chores, because as you get old, the younger you are, you can always find something. Just pick up your clothes and put them next to the washer and dryer. Put your dishes in the sink. Then you can move on to harder things, taking the trash out, stuff like that. But I think doing it early and having that repetition, then there's an expectation when all of a sudden you're like, they're 15, you're like, do it. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, it can't be foreign to them.
Right.
As they grow older, at 15 or 16, if they go cut the lawn, cut the lawn. We got a guy cutting the lawn right now, I cut the lawn growing up, and I'm living in a different an economic bracket than I was growing up, but I'm nervous because, a lot of these things, we have a guy that comes and cuts the lawn. Now, do I get rid of that guy and say, Caruso, get out there
Right.
and start running lines on the grass? Yeah, you could do that. Or cut the tree. Bro, I'm not kidding. I was 12, 13 years old, hedging the ficus in the yard, trimming, hedge. I was doing all this stuff, and I felt like by doing that gave me the tools that I needed moving forward to know that, hey, you got to work.
But what's your take on video game time?
So
go.
I grew up with Pong.
Uh-huh.
All right. Moved to Atari.
Yeah. Atari 2600. I remember it.
I don't even think it was a 2600 model.
No?
This was the original Atari.
Okay.
Which was it 2600?
I thought it was the black. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought the 2600 was like an upgrade on the graphics.
All right.
I could be wrong. After that, we didn't have Nintendo. We didn't have Intellivision. We didn't have Sega. Any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what's your take on video games? When should a kid play them? Is there an age? Where are we at?
I mean, you want to hold off as long as possible. I mean, we say with screen time in general, we've talked about, after the age of 2 and limiting to an hour a day, which also seems like an awful lot because they should be doing other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we've talked about as parents giving a little more leeway on the weekends. I think the problem with video games nowadays is there's a lot of interconnectivity, which can be good if you know who you're playing with. So playing with family or friends, even that are not directly in your house, but being careful because a lot of people play like Roblox and Minecraft, and those games anybody can ask to be your friend. So my daughter had like 50 friends on Roblox. Like, you have 50 friends? So we went down the names. She didn't know any of them. She was just she was just accepting them. That's really scary. That's when I was up all night taking a deep dive in Roblox and trying to figure out the settings. And the problem with those games is the security settings are set up. You can't disable them because then you can't play with anybody, and they're only playing to play with their friends. Mm-hmm. So that's the scary part. So understanding like proper etiquette playing these video games, and I think it should be homework, activity, and then the extra is the video games. That has to be the last thing.
Yeah, I'm a little frightened by the video games. We've limited screen time to the weekends here.
Yeah,
they get to watch TV on Saturday and Sunday, whether it be a movie or what have you. But during the week, there's none of that. I think, and I give credit to my wife Lana. Arts and crafts is huge at the house. They're constantly doing glue and silly putty or what's that, the slime and making stuff. So I think if you keep the kids off the screen time, it's just, I see a kid on a screen and they look like they're so warped out.
Like an adult on the screen. I know.
Even adult, even these adults. I'm sorry if anybody out there is a gamer and they have their own chair. I always thought like if you're a male in your 50s and you have a gaming chair and you have a headset, that would be reason for divorce. I mean, and you lose everything. What?
But I think you're right with both TV, screen time, and video games. The biggest problem I see is kids' behaviors around it. Once they get used to it and they get it, when they don't get it, they're the kids on the floor like flipping out, screaming, and it's really hard to bring it back.
Yeah. Shea Bay, I remember the TV shutting off. I also remember how the knob used to fall off the TV. Yeah,
we had 4 stations, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 20 if the bunny ears could make it. That's all we had growing up.
Yeah, no, I remember when Fox first came out and Living Color was on Fox, and we were like, oh my God, Fox, because we didn't have cable either. We didn't have HBO or any of that. Sebastian, Dr. Cohen, what was your favorite TV cartoons? Fred Flintstone.
The Flintstones.
Okay. Tom and Jerry. He-Man.
Okay.
And is there a fourth one? No.
Well, yeah, I watched a lot of He-Man. Remember watching a lot of Smurfs. But half of them bothered me, but I watched it. Gummy Bears, I mentioned Saturday morning Gummy Bears. Yeah.
That was about the extent of it.
Yeah. Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo, yeah.
Scooby-Doo. I wasn't that big into Scooby-Doo.
And G.I. Joe. I like G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, didn't watch any of that. We got Daniel Thomas, another, what new cooking skills would you like to learn? New? Wouldn't mind learning how to cook with that gastronomy, doing that dried ice, the smoke, whatever they do with it. I wouldn't mind fiddling around with that.
Make a barbecue potato chip out of air.
Yeah, something like, oh my God, what is that? Thomas Wingrove, when I was a child, I was diagnosed with epilepsy, was on meds. At some point, stopped the meds, now 34, haven't had a seizure in probably 20 years. Is it possible to grow out of epilepsy?
Yeah, it's possible to grow out of seizure disorders. And often kids are on medication. They'll say if like you're 2 years seizure free, they'll start trying to wean you off. So there are different types of seizure disorders, and it is possible to outgrow them.
Wow, yeah. I had no idea. Good feathers with 3 Italian pigeons.
What does that mean?
No clue. Is that a cartoon?
I don't know. Super Friends in the Justice League. I do remember that. Aquaman, Superman. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Ooh, Thundercats. Whoa.
Captain Caveman, Hanna-Barbera.
Jetsons. Think about the Jetsons. We're doing all that stuff now.
Yeah.
Talking on our watch.
Yeah. I have a question. And this is something that's been kind of bothering Lana and I when it comes to child rearing.
Okay.
Serafina, heavily into piano, loves pianos. Don't have to ask her to practice. She just does it on her own. She's doing this little theater, this little plays. She was just in The Wizard of Oz, played the witch, absolutely killed it. She's also in gymnastics, and she's not gravitating towards it as she is the other things. Lana, selfishly, wants to keep her in gymnastics because Lana was a gymnast. Right. And she feels that kids need some sport in their life. You as a doctor, do you advise to force kids to do things that they're not liking? What's your take on?
That's a good question. I think early on you try a lot of different things that they may think that they're not interested, because the only way you know is try. I think we've talked about this. I think if you commit to something, you finish it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you force it if they absolutely hate it. I mean, we went through the same thing. Both my girls were in ballet for years. My wife was a ballet dancer. I know she was hoping one of the 2 girls would be a ballet dancer. They both, after several years, hated it and didn't want to do it. One turned to soccer and the other one's into music and theater and like that. And now it's funny because now my music theater daughter, Lexi, who's 13, is now getting a little bit back into dance, and she's a beautiful dancer. And I was if she had just done it for the last 10 years, she would be amazing. But I just think it's hard to force them in something they absolutely dislike when there's so many other things that they could try that maybe they would like. Yeah,
so we're wrestling with that at the house, and Lana's a little bit more lenient when they go, and she go pick up Serafina right now, right? Mm-hmm. She's got gymnastics after school.
Yeah.
So when I take Serafina and I pick her up from school and we're going to gymnastics, there seems to be no problem.
We're going to gymnastics, right?
She goes, I'm tired. I said, I don't care if you're tired. We're going, and we forget about it.
Right.
With Lana, I think just because she's a little bit more lenient and a little bit more easily persuaded, that she's like, I don't know, she was tired. And I said, I don't know. It seems like she's not tired when I go take her. I'm not saying that I'm doing anything different. I just feel like sometimes a father.
Well, kids know who they can play.
Yeah, I feel like I've established that daddy.
Dominance.
Sebastian
dominance.
So yeah, this has been great.
This is great. And send more questions about your kids' health. We can get into everything. Pop
culture, whatever it is. We love doing these lives. It's the Daddy versus Doctor podcast. This is Dr. Scott Cohen. It's our family's pediatrician. Right here in Los Angeles, and we get together once a week and we talk about all things parenting, all things kids, all things tipping. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
The opinions expressed in this program are not intended as professional medical advice, as a diagnosis, as a treatment protocol, or as a substitute for professional medical advice from your physician. Please consider your own medical history and consult with your own physician for your specific healthcare and/or medical needs and about your concerns for yourself and your family.